Okay, welcome. Today we're going to be dealing with simple interest and compound interest. Although they are similar, they are slightly different. So let's get started. When we're talking about, say, borrowing money or saving money, and we're putting it in a bank account, there's a couple of terms we need to know first. First is interest itself, or we should say is the interest amount. So this is normally in dollars, or for Australia it's dollars. We have the principal amount. We have the interest rate, which is expressed in a percentage. Okay, and we also have time. So the abbreviations for this normally is I for interest, P for principal, R for rate, and T for time. What we also have is a formula for when we want to work out simple interest. And that formula is I equals P times R times T. So let's start with an example so we can work one out. So let's say we had principal amount we want to borrow, or we want to save $2,000 at an interest rate at 10%, and we want to do this over 2 years. So it could be like a term deposit. So down here, we don't know what our interest is because that's what we're going to calculate. We have 2,000 multiplied by 0.10, because this percentage we want to express as a decimal number, times by 2. So how we work that out, we times those all together, and in this case it's $400. So if we were to invest our $2,000 into the bank, they would give us an interest amount of $400. So in total at the end, we would have $2,400 because we just add those figures together. Okay, so let's have another go at another example. I'll just write our formula up the top again, just so we know what we're dealing with. All right, so in this case, let's say we don't know what our interest is. We want to invest money or borrow money, say either or. Okay, let's say this time it's $10,000. The interest rate is pretty good. It's at 6%. So this here is actually 6%, but we want to express it in our decimal point number. Okay, and let's say we're going to invest this money for 5 years. Okay, so pull that 5 years. In that case, it works out to be $3,000. So this is our interest amount. Now our total at the end after the 5 years would be 10,000 plus 3,000. So our total would be $13,000. So when we say simple interest, we actually mean it really is simple. Now this time, let's make it slightly more difficult this time. Let's say we know that when we invest our money, or we want at the end of the time, let's say we want to earn $200 in interest. Okay, so we know what our interest is. And we want to work out that, okay, if we're investing our $1,500 in an investment or a bank account, we don't know how much the rate is. And let's say the time, we want to have that money within 2 years. So what we want to do is work out what interest rate do we need in order to achieve this amount here. This is how we do it. So remember, we have I equals P times R times T. We know what our principal is. It's $1,500. Just tidy that up a little bit. It's 1,500. Now we don't know what our rate is, so we leave that as R, but we do know what our time is, and it's 2 years. Okay, and here our I, we do know what our I is, which is our interest. it's 200. So now what we want to do, we want to be able to move this amount over here, and this R needs to come over this way. So in order to do that, we make this R, and then we go 200 divided by 1500 times 2. Now, in order to work this out, remember BOM, if you're working it out by using your brain, your mind, you want to make sure that you work out in BOM order. So you'd work out this bit here first. So it would be 200 divided by 3000, because 1500 times 2 is 1500 times 2 is 3000. So it works out to be, we're going to have to round this off, so it's 0.06, and let's just round it off as 7. So now what we want to do is we want to convert this amount into a percentage. So in this case, it would be 6.7%. So that's how much we need to get as for our interest rate to earn this amount of money using this investment amount over 2 years. Okay, so now let's have a look at compound interest. So it's very similar as before. We still have our same formula, but what we're doing is we're compounding. So we're rolling over our interest amount. So this amount here, we're going to roll it over every year. We're not going to spend it. Okay, so let's say we had $2,000 and we wanted to put it in the bank account in a term deposit for say 5 years at an interest rate of 8%. Okay, so what we want to know is at the end of the 5 years, how much are we going to have? It's a little bit different than simple interest. So year 1, we have $2,000 multiplied by 0.08 times by 1. Okay, because it's year 1, or it's 1 year, I should say. So at the end of that first year, we've actually earned $160. Then we add it back into our original amount here, because we still have that in the bank account. So now we have $2,160. Then we come to year 2. This time we're going to be investing the $2,160 by our 8% times by 1. Okay, so the second year, now we've actually earned a little bit more money. Again, we added into the original amount. Oh, that's the wrong figure. Our original figure, which is now this one. Okay. So now we're left with a figure of $2,332.80. Okay, so as you can see, I've just gone ahead and fast forwarded. So if we were compounding all of our interest, we would actually end up with $2,938.64. Just to compare that with simple interest, okay, it would be 2,000 multiplied by 0.08 by 5. It would actually work out to be $800 plus our original $2,000. So if we weren't compounding, we would only get $2,800 as opposed to compounding, so reinvesting our interest earnings. So compounding really is another human discovery, just like the wheel. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this.